to ZeN TV. One of the stories that got our attention this week, G, is one that you sent to us from The Independent, I believe, about the Church of Scotland.
Yes.
Allowing gay civil partnership.
It says the General Assembly of the Church of Scotland has voted to allow congregations to ordain gay ministers who are in the same sex civil partnerships. I didn't understand what that meant, to be honest. When I first read it, I thought, what does it mean? So, does anybody have any idea what they think that means, or they know what it means? I don't, honestly, genuinely don't know.
I thought it was basically a minister could be gay,
yes,
and be married,
yes,
and lead the church.
But he's in a civil partnership already
with his same
gay
sex.
partner. Okay. The reason why I was asking that question is that I don't see a single mention in the Bible, old or new, where this is permissible.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
That's what I was just thinking.
Now, I'm not here judging. I'm just saying, you have a book, right, that you call it a holy book, right? And the reason why it's called holy, the Holy Bible, holy means it's been written or ordained by a being above human. So now it's saying, according to the Scottish Church, humans can judge on the works of God, the ordinances of God. So humans now judge the divine and alter the divine's words. Now you look carefully in the scripture when it talks about, anybody who alters, you're not supposed to alter a single verse of the Bible. It's, people say, yeah, but the translations have, made it not the complete book that it used to be. I agree with that. However, there are some things in the Bible that remain the same. There's nothing in the Bible based on any translation that tells you that this is permitted or permissible by God. Not saying I agree or disagree. When you're in the armed forces, unless you're told to do something that, is against Geneva Convention or your own common sense tells you is wrong, you follow orders. So when you're a Christian or a believer, you follow the orders of the person you believe in. You can't turn around and say, well, I believe in some bits, but I don't believe in other bits. So for the Scottish Church to come to the conclusion that they can actually allow the congregation to, ordain ministers who are gay, I don't really think that's right, because...
So you're saying they're being selective on their translation or their interpretation of the Bible. Why do you think they're being selective about it?
Because people cherry pick, right? When it comes to...
but this is the church.
Well, they are the order. They should maintain the order. It'd be like having the power to have a little machine that you press the traffic lights, which means that your lights go to green and everything else remains red. That creates confusion around you. You have to uphold to the lights. When I got stopped a few weeks ago by the police, because again my number plate was going off into the distance, when he challenged me and pointed out to me, you're out of order, I never said a word to disrespect him. The only thing I said to him was that we're not friends. And at the end of the conversation, I turned around to him and said, my friend, I'm sorry for my attitude. I'm wrong. Forgive me. Now the point I'm trying to make to you is, even if I don't like the man and the order that he represents, he is still the order. You have to abide by those in authority. The Church of Scotland, they are in authority in Scotland, but they're diminishing their own standards. So after a while, what do you stand for?
I would say, what would you say though to people who homosexuality and gay and same-sex partnerships, etc., is so the norm? It's so like
the norm where
in society today.
1%.
In terms of acceptability, of it. And if you speak out, it's like that's something people don't speak out about. What would you say to people like that? It's become so acceptable, and people are afraid to talk about anything anti-gay.
It's not that I'm for or against homosexuality, gay or whatever. It's understanding the reality. It is 1% in America, and I think it's 1.5% in the world. That's the number that are homosexual. That matter to me. The club called the Church of God is a club on the whole that doesn't accept people who lower the sexual standards that they permit. Now, if you don't like those rules, you don't have to be in that club. You can be in your own club. You can form your own club.
Yeah.
But you don't expect the club to erode its standards because it doesn't allow you to be part of it.
Yeah.
If you think about it, right, imagine to yourself, right, I'm in a club and it's a club that likes black footballs. Then somebody into footballs. So somebody who likes red footballs thinks that they should be able to join my club, and I go, all right, let's change it. Red balls are allowed too. Then somebody into yellow is going to say, before you know it,
it's not a black football club.
It isn't. So you have to uphold what you believe in. This is not just a club. This is a religion that was formed not just 2,000 years ago. It was from the beginning of time, because if God created the earth, and if people believe that, then he had his standards that he maintained. There is no mention of any civilization that God has been the head of, that he has allowed that standard to be part of his organization. So if people don't like it, that's cool. Form your own. Don't make this the organization that said it is a part of him to diminish their standards. Why do it?
But you could argue the rules that were set those thousands of years ago. Because if you look at some football rules have changed, don't they? You know, they've got the white spray on the ground now. That, you know, for free kicks, it's changing with the times. Yeah. So you could argue that they're trying to move with the times.
But so should they dilute their standards then?
Yeah, there's some things that, like, say for example, anything to do with sexual behaviours with children, that's never been accepted by society.
But
anything, there are certain things that no matter whether you have a faith or not, it's unacceptable.
Well, my thing is, they're still behind closed doors. They're doing it. That's my
100%.
thing. That's my thing. So my thing is, why not bring it to the front at least? You know.
You know. Okay. That same argument, I'm not going to argue again. I like what you just said there. What they also do behind closed doors is paedophilia.
Right.
The church does.
Yeah.
Especially the Roman Catholic Church. Thousands of ministers do that. So by the same argument, that should be legal. They should be allowed to do this to young boys.
But as I said, there's certain things that society will never accept.
Well, that's the thing.
It depends how society dilutes their
Yes,
standards.
if you keep diluting your standards, right, and this is the thing, it's to do with spirituality. The more you dilute your standards, the more it becomes permissible. So if you go back in time, right, there was a guy called Jack Parsons. This is the man that NASA loved, right? He's the man that developed rocket fuels, solid fuels. Now, he was a Satanist. And his best mate was Aleister Crowley, right? Who, people who know anything about him, he was called the Great B666. Now, yes, Aleister Crowley wanted him to be the leader of the church called OTO in America. Order of the Temple of Orientis, I think it is. It's the same organisation that Peaches Geldof had put on a tattoo on her arm, and a year later she was dead. It's the sex magic group. Now, if you're part of that group, you're going to find it very difficult to be a Christian because Christianity doesn't necessarily permit sex before marriage or wanton sex. So it's
polar opposites, aren't they?
Yes, it is. So there's some things in Christianity that it will never change. Like, you know, if you look at, say, Judaism, there are some ordinances in Judaism that will never change. Islam, there are some things that will never change. So if you want to be part of these organizations, you have to realize they are constants. They never change. They will never permit certain things that other people will do. Because other religions that were around back in the day, like the worship of Dagon and Moloch, involved children being burnt in the fire and being sexually sacrificed as well in the fire. Now these are world religions that the world leaders are into. Now if you're into that, the two will never meet. You'll never have Christianity. I mean, I'm talking about pure Christianity, the essence of Christianity. It will never change its essence because then it becomes something else. So you'll never. The Scottish Church is trying to do something. I'm not against them. I'm just saying if you're part of this organisation and it stands for this, you're now trying to change that organisation subtly. Go back in football, even simple football. The Bluebirds got promoted. And what did the leader of the Bluebirds, the chairman, do? What's the first thing he tried to do to the team? Change the colours to red. What did the fans do? Want to kill him. That's just simple football. We're not about religion.
I think the problem is as well when the state get involved with religion, that's where the problem becomes, because wasn't it the same in the Church of England when one of the kings wanted to get divorced?
Yes.
Right? It's
Yeah.
the same thing, and,
Yes.
and that's the problem. That's where this problem comes when the state get involved with religion.
100%.
You know?
You see, he's spot on. You see, when you go back to Henry VIII, right? Henry had his own agenda in changing the religion.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't really believe in the tenets of God. I give you an example so you understand about how the Bible works. Listen to Musical Youth. They say, at the start of the song, Pastor Duchy, what did they say?
This generation.
Rule the nation with aversion. So what did it mean with aversion? Because the original song, the original rhythm, Pastor Duchy, was by the Mighty Diamonds. Pastor Kuchi. What's the Kuchi? Weed. So you couldn't have these little teenagers singing about passing the weed. So they sang a version of the Mighty Diamonds, Pastor Kuchi. So fast forward, Henry VIII wrote a version of the Bible. Wasn't the original. Sorry, King James wrote a version of the Bible.
Yeah.
Wasn't the original.
Yeah.
And what he did, he put himself into the book. So the book of James is him. Jesus never had a brother called James. There was no such thing as Jesus, it was Yeshua. So
right.
they changed the names and they changed bits of it to fit into their version. So the King James version is a version of the Bible. It is not an original.
So what is the original Bible?
Well, the original wouldn't be in 66 books because God wouldn't deal in multiples of 6.
Yeah.
You see? If you look at the Jerusalem Bible.
Yeah, I study the Jerusalem Bible, and there's books, and there's the use of the name God is always Yeshua, because God is Mister. It means nothing specific. You need to know the God you're praying to.
Yeah.
God is defined as Yahweh.
Yeah.
So these names are defined by the type of Bible that you read,
Exactly.
and it's up to you to find out. There are far more books in things like Maccabees and stuff. They're all in the Jerusalem Bible, and the terminology used in the Jerusalem Bible is different than in the King James.
So for a Christian today, what Bible would you recommend they read?
Jerusalem.
Bible, yeah.
But you see, going back to what we said, even with the Scottish Church, the Scottish Church is actually saying, remember, the book they believe was inspired by the Word of God. Whether people believe in it or not, that's what's it about. And it was there to keep the people in check. Now the Scottish Church is saying, we're going to get the people to keep God in check.
Wow.
You see, so what you're doing is, right, you're setting over, the precipice, and you're going to discover whether you have wings or whether you just have a backbone.
Yeah.
And that's it. Now, if you haven't got wings, you're leading a whole race of people to a level of darkness that they will never be able to come out of. There has to be a constant. You don't have to agree with it if you're not part of the religion. But if you're part of it, like the Labour Party or any political party, you stand with the party even if you don't agree with everything about it. Because that's the deal of being part of it. So if you're part of the Church of Scotland, the Church of Scotland isn't isolated from the Church of God. Shouldn't be.
No.
Or part of the same. So if you're part of the same, you can't be changing the ordinances based on your own logic. Because if we start to think about things, we start to think, well, why should men and women have different clothes? It's cheaper and cost effective to have the same clothes. So what does that mean? Men start to wear women's clothing as standard? Or women wear men's clothing as standard? Then you say women should be able to grow beards. Where do you stop? Where do you stop with your thing?
Look at the Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh, beautiful.
The last winner. Come on, if that's not the antithesis of everything that we believe in, which
The bloke with a beard.
Bloke with a beard. I mean, it's actually almost it's the anti of everything that you. It's confusing, and there's no confusion in God. God is very clear. The defined outline of what we believe in. There are a set of protocols with which we live to. And people who believe have no problem with that. It's those who don't believe But the thing is, God gave us a choice whether to believe or not. He didn't make everyone believers. He just said you can believe if you don't want to believe. If you do want to believe, that's how much He loved us. So you have a choice. The choice is we choose whether you choose wrong or right. Kent Ovine said and I would suggest everyone look into this brother who's serving time at the moment that they're trying to keep the brother in prison. It's so wrong what they're doing to this brother, and still, his stuff that's on YouTube now. He said it comes down to two things: you're either in or you're out. You believe or you don't believe, because that's what it's going to come down to. And he put it into very simplistic things. It's going to come so severe that you're going to either believe or you don't believe, and you will be judged accordingly. And that's how severe it's coming down to.
Damon, Angie, especially on that point, some great points made. You're watching ZeN TV.